Hello and welcome back for home workout number 2. Today we're going to get stuck straight in with our warm-up and then onto our circuit of exercises. So without further delay, let's go into a wide stance, soften the knees and flex the hips like you're sitting into a saddle, and we're going to slide from one leg over to the other. This is our ice skater movement, like a speed skater floating across the ice. So we're just going to move from foot to foot, turning the trunk ever so slightly, a bit of a twisting action as we go. And we're just going to really get down into the thighs, work the legs, loosen everything off through the lower back and the hips with a nice gentle twist and turn action as we go. Fantastic. I hope you enjoyed your first exercise session, the first of these videos. Today we're going to expand on some of the exercises we did last time and sprinkle in a few changes so that it keeps it interesting. That's good, just a couple more of these. 3, 2, 1, and then bring your feet in together so they are roughly hip width apart. I'm going to turn quarter on so that you can see what I'm doing here with my back and my hips. I'm going to soften the knees slightly and they're not going to bend any further. I'm going to push my bum backwards and keeping my back straight, I'm going to reach down toward my shins. Imagine there's a box in front of me that I'm going to pick up. I get a bit of a stretch up the back of the legs and the hips, and then I push my hips forward to stand tall. So hips get pushed backward, back stays straight, and then I push forward again. Hips go backward, and as I feel the stretch, that lets me know I've gone far enough, and I stand tall. So just reach down for that box, stretch, and stand. Reach down for the box, stretch, and stand. A little bit of softness in the knees just keeps the tension nice and manageable. We feel that stretch running up the back of the legs towards your bum. It's a lovely, strong, safe position for the back. Really, really good practice for picking up heavy things whilst looking after your back. So a nice little stretchy warm-up for us today and a bit of practice for future exercises. Getting the back nice and strong and safe. So let's do 3 more of those. 2 and 1 before we go into our squat movement. For the squat movement, you want to take your feet about shoulder width apart, so a little bit wider. Flex the knees, sit back into that empty chair, and I've got my hands out to the front so that it's a little bit of a counterbalance. And then stand. It doesn't matter how low you sit, it could be anywhere, as long as your back stays nice and straight and you stay upright and looking ahead of you, then you're doing well. So flex the hips and the knees, sit and stand. Flex, sit and stand. Whilst we're going through this warm-up, one little note about knees. What you may notice when you start doing this is as you sit, your knees want to cave in and move toward each other. Try to keep them the same distance apart at start and finish. So slight outward pressure on your knees. Imagine you have a belt wrapped around your knees. Just try and keep that belt tight. Pull on the belt ever so slightly with the outside of your knees. That's it. Let's do 2 and 1 more squat, and then give everything a bit of a shake out. We're going to give the back a little stretch out because we're going to start today's exercises down on the floor with some plank movements. So to begin with, lying flat on your front, push yourself right back onto your heels. That's it. From here, a little wiggle, and then up and over the top. Keep the arms long, keep the chest up, and allow the hips to drop toward the floor. Only as far as it feels comfortable to do so. And then push back into that deep sit. Up and over the top we go. Dropping the tummy down toward the floor, keeping the chest up, little stretch for the front of the chest, down through the stomach toward the hips, before sending that back into the heels. Nice and easy in there. Up and over the top, only as far as it feels comfortable, and then back. If as you come back it's uncomfortable on your shoulders, just bring the arms down to your side slightly, rather than leaving them all stretched out here. So that takes pressure off my shoulders there, and then as I come forward I'm just going to walk my hands out slightly, so that they're underneath me for this part. So sitting back onto the heels twice more. 1 last time back onto the heels, and the last time up the front, dropping the hips, Hopefully that feels like you can move a little bit further than you could to begin with, and we're starting to feel a little bit loosened off and limber. Our first exercise is going to be a plank. Now you can do a plank on hands or elbows if you remember from the first session. So if there's any concern about pressure on the wrist, carpal tunnel syndrome, that sort of thing, do this on your elbows. Otherwise, we're up and into our plank. I want to push the floor away from my shoulders. I'm hollowing out my chest and I'm hoovering up my tummy muscles such that it feels like I'm as high and as straight and strong away from the floor as I can make myself. And in 3, 2, 1, you're going to take a little rest. Very good, give everything a shake and a shuffle. How did that feel? Is that good? Now, if we're taking the pressure off the wrists, of course you're going to have your elbows on the floor and you're going to plank like so, but the same rules apply. I'm still pushing the floor away with my elbows. I'm hollowing out my chest. I'm hoovering up my tummy muscles, pulling my belly button away from the floor, and we're holding here for another 3, and 2, and 1, and rest. Give everything a bit of a shake and a shuffle, and all good things come in threes, so we're going to do that one last time. Whether it's elbows or hands, join with me now for a 10-second hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Marvellous! Well done. Next exercise on the mat is going to be a hip lifting exercise for the back of your legs and your bum and back. So start by lying down. I'm going to fold my arms over my chest so the arms don't get in the way of the camera. What you're going to do is knees about 90-degree bend, feet about hip width apart, so feel nice and stable and comfortable here. I'm going to start by rolling my hips up off the floor. It's going to feel like I'm sort of rolling my coccyx up, pushing my lower back into the floor. At that point, I'm going to push my feet into the ground to lift my hips into the air. And then I'm going to roll my back down section by section. So what I'm not doing is lifting, dropping, dropping. Okay? That tends to get you to arch your back and put a lot of pressure on your lower back. The way we're going to do it, where we roll the spine up and squeeze through the buttocks, make sure we're getting all the work through the bum and not overloading your lower back. So roll down into the floor and do this 10 times with me. Roll up, squeeze, and roll down for 1. Roll up, squeeze, and roll down for 2. Coming up, squeeze, down, and that's 3. Rolling up, 4, and down. Roll up, 5, roll down, roll up, don't forget the squeeze, roll down for 6, coming up, squeeze for 7, nearly there now, rolling up and squeeze and roll down, that's 8, rolling up, penultimate time, here we go, number 10, roll up, squeeze bum, roll down, and done. Fantastic. That's a nice one. Now, the next exercise fills everybody with dread, but don't worry because I'm going to show you how to do this in such a way that you can do it and feel confident and strong doing it. This is, of course, the press-up action. Now, we're going to use a bench. If you're working out at home, the most likely alternative to your bench is going to be your sofa, a couple of chairs, or maybe a low coffee table. Anything that is secure enough that you can lean on it. Now, we make a press-up easier by lifting the hands higher or making the body shorter. So I'm going to do both. I'm going to be kneeling to make the body shorter, and I'm going to be using the bench to lift my hands higher. So I'm going to put my hands nice and wide on the bench. My hands are wider than shoulder width apart here. So hands nice and wide on the bench. And I'm going to lean my trunk in so that I'm a nice triangle shape here. I'm a straight line from my knees through my hips to my shoulders, rather than having my bum stuck out like that. So I'm leaning into it slightly, and by doing that you're going to feel the tummy muscles start to sort of zip up and feel like they're just ready to go on notice. Now you're going to lean forward by bending the elbows and bringing your chest toward the bench. You're not bringing your face to the bench, you're bringing your chest to the bench and push away. Lower yourself as far as you feel comfortable going. You will probably find that if you haven't done this before, that it doesn't feel very comfortable to go all the way to begin with. Maybe it's too much of a strain on the wrists, or maybe it's a big stretch across the shoulders. So only go as far as you feel reasonably comfortable before you push away again. And we're going to do half a dozen more of these. So lean in and push, lean in and push. Good. Last 3, and 2, and 1. Well done, you've just done your first lot of press-ups. We're going to loop around these exercises, so you're going to get to play with that again in a minute. But first, an exercise that you'll remember from your first week, the split squat. 1 foot forward and 1 foot back. My feet are about hip width apart, so I'm not walking on that tightrope, I'm nice and balanced. So 1 forward, 1 back. Soften up both knees and bring your chest down and up. Down and up. We don't want this knee to poke forward too far, but it can drift forward a little bit. You want to feel like your hips are dropping straight down with your chest over the top. So I'm trying not to lean too much into this one. I'm staying up nice and tall, and I've got a bit of a stretch in this trailing hip. I'm coming down and up, and we're going to do this 4 more times. Ready? 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then of course we've got 2 legs, so we've got to swap and do that the other way around. Ready for this? 10 times, and down we go, nice and tall. And again, that's it. This knee can go forward slightly, but we don't want it to drift too far over the toes. I'm going to get my hips to drop straight down toward the floor. Halfway through already. Number 6, number 7, 8, 9, and 10. And there we go, those are the 4 exercises we're going to loop round. So let's loop through that one more time. The plank, 10 seconds of hold. Ready? Up we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Brilliant! For our next, we've got 10 hip lifts. So lying on your back, knees about 90 degrees, start by rolling that pelvis up. Here we go. Roll up and squeeze once. Roll and squeeze twice. And 3, and 4, and 5. A little squeeze at the top each time. 6, 7, 8, looking good. 9, and 10. Fantastic. You need that bench back again. Find your sofa. Hands on for the press-ups. Should we try for 10? Let's lean in with the body so we feel the abdominal muscles zip up. And then lean your chest in toward the edge of your sofa for 1 and 2. You'll see that I'm going nice and steady with my speed. I'm controlling the descent. Nice and smooth on that push away. Everything is in control, unhurried, with no sharp edges. Everything is nice and smooth. Let's do that 3 times, twice more, 1 big push, and then we're back up into our split squat. We're really rattling through this one. 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. Soften up those knees and drop that knee straight down to the floor for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, and 8, and 9, and 10. Fantastic. Switch this stance around and let's finish this off nice and strong with 1, and 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and well done. That is everything. We have finished another rapid fire workout. Very well done.